What is up, everybody? We're back here at King Film Sports for the March 7th Bracketology update. Also going to be giving my WCC tournament predictions update on the channel. We will be giving all of our major college basketball conference tournament predictions in the coming days when the brackets come out here. That means the SEC, Big 12, Big 10, ACC, Mountain West, Big East, and what have you. WCC already out as the semifinals and final occur on Monday and Tuesday next week here. This will probably be one of my final Bracketology updates just because we are 9 days from Selection Sunday and only have one more game for a lot of these major conference tournament teams for the regular season. Then we'll be getting into conference tournament action, but I'll be going through all the bubble teams and then giving you guys my full predicted bracket here. So we see the updates on the bubble. Utah State goes down to the last 4 byes. Not that they were comfortably in. They did end up losing to Boise and Colorado State last week. Both of those games were on the road in elevation, so can't get mad at them too much, but they definitely have to win their last game tomorrow and then not bow out early in the Mountain West tournament if they want to be comfortably in. Then you have Georgia, who's really been heating up here as of late. They avoided the upset at South Carolina, and I believe that they play Vanderbilt tomorrow in their final regular season game. So if they can win that one, then they are comfortably in regardless of what happens in the SEC tournament. Then you've got Ohio State here, who won a marathon game against Nebraska on Tuesday. I believe that went to double overtime, ended up winning by 2 points there. So that was huge for their hopes of getting an at-large bid here, and they do play Indiana tomorrow, another team that's on the bubble, so that'll be interesting. Then you get to Arkansas, another one of these SEC teams that got a great win this past week over Vanderbilt in Nashville, and they do play Mississippi State as well tomorrow. So if they win that, then I think that they are comfortably in the tournament. Then you get to SDSU here, who was in the last 4 byes. They did lose to UNLV. Not the end of the world for them, but they definitely have to win their final game and then not bow out early in the Mountain West tournament, similar to the situation that Utah State is in. Then Indiana, they had the West Coast road trip, won at Washington, and then crumbled late against Oregon, ended up losing that one. And then, as I mentioned, they host Ohio State, so they're going to have to win that game if they want to bolster their position. Then you've got Boise State here, who is heating up late, and they do play tonight at home against Colorado State, a new bubble team, as you can see in the next 4 out, as Colorado State has been heating up here. So that's going to be a big game. Winner of that one probably feels good heading into the Mountain West tournament, although nothing is for certain right now, so we'll see on that. Then Xavier, they've been playing this down competition in the Big East, but they do finish up against Providence tomorrow. If they can win that one and then win a couple games in the Big East tournament, I think that they'll be in. Then you get to Oklahoma here. We were all selling all of our stock there, but a good win this past week. And they do play Texas, another one of these first 4 out teams. So the winner of that, I think, feels pretty good heading into the SEC tournament. Loser is definitely on the ropes there and will need a big run in the SEC tournament. So we'll see there. Then you've got North Carolina. They obviously have the game in Chapel Hill against Duke. They've been winning all of these games against the down ACC competition, but you've got to at least play well in that one, make it a close game, if not win outright to get into the bracket there. Then you have Nebraska, who has just been taking on water. I think that they've lost 3 or 4 in a row. As I mentioned, tough game at Ohio State, and they'll definitely have to win against Iowa and then maybe a couple games in the Big Ten tournament if they want to make it. Then I mentioned Colorado State coming on strong in the Mountain West. Probably has to win at Boise tonight and then win a couple games, probably make the final in the Mountain West tournament just to get an at-large bid. But yeah, at this point, may have to win the Mountain West tournament outright, similar to New Mexico last year to make the tournament. Then you've got Cincy. They've lost a couple games as of late. They play Oklahoma State, and then SMU and Wake Forest for them probably have to win the ACC tournament outright at this point if they want to make the bracket. And with that, let's get into my WCC tournament predictions here. We're going to skip to the quarterfinals, which are on Sunday here. And we've got the newcomers, Oregon State and Washington State, as the 5 and 6 seed. So I'm assuming that they're going to win their games on Saturday. So that gives us these matchups. We got Oregon State versus Santa Clara. These two teams split earlier this season. Both games in January. Oregon State trending downward since then, and Santa Clara playing much better. So I will give the Broncos this victory. But if they do struggle to hit their shots in that matchup like they did in Corvallis, then I definitely could see a path here for Oregon State. And Oregon State, I do think that they match up somewhat well against St. Mary's, perhaps better than Santa Clara, but we will see. Santa Clara does have the shooting upside. Then we get to San Francisco versus Washington State. These two teams split as well. Tough to play in Pullman. The Dons ended up losing that matchup there, but I do think that San Francisco is the much better team here. Been getting a little bit lucky in terms of 3-point shooting against and for them, which kind of cooled them off in the last couple weeks of the regular season, but I just do think they are the superior team there with their guard play, so give me them to beat Washington State. Then we get into the semifinals. These were the exact matchups that we had last year. Santa Clara has just not been able to get over the hump of St. Mary's, and I do think that St. Mary's has a substantive advantage in this one, although they'll only be about 7-point favorites against the Santa Clara team. They did go on a 30-0 run in Santa Clara when they played earlier. The Broncos were much better when they played in Moraga, only lost that one by a few points there. But I do just think that St. Mary's is better coached under Randy Bennett, and I think that they are more talented here, much better on defense. It's going to have to be a 3-point barrage by Santa Clara. I do think that they match up better against Gonzaga. So if they were to pull off this upset, then I definitely think that they have some legs to win the championship game against Gonzaga, knowing that they beat Gonzaga 2 of their last 4 times over the last 2 years. But I do just think they match up horribly against the St. Mary's defense there. So give me the Gales to advance there off the bye. And then we get to Gonzaga versus San Francisco. San Francisco was the lone loss that St. Mary's had over the regular season this year in the WCC. But again, I think that they match up horribly against Gonzaga, as we saw in the Chase Center last Saturday. I think that they match up much better against the defensive scheme of St. Mary's. Just don't think that they can stop Gonzaga. So give me the Bulldogs to reign supreme there. And then we get the trilogy between St. Mary's and Gonzaga. And St. Mary's actually swept the 2 games that they played earlier this season, and I think that Gonzaga gets revenge here. Remember, they also did lose the WCC title game to the Gales last year, so a lot of revenge in store here, and I do think they are the better team. They'll probably be about 2 or 3 point favorites in this matchup. They haven't matched up well defensively against the Gales so far this season. Usually they are much better on that end against this Gales team, so I do think that Mark Few will dial up a good game plan there, and then I think their shot makers will deliver in the clutch there, which they were not able to do in the regular season matchups against St. Mary's, but we will see there. So give me Gonzaga to win the WCC title. And with that, we get to the actual bracket here for the NCAA tournament. Auburn, once again, is the number 1 overall seed in spite of that loss at Texas A&M. That was just kind of a brutal spot for them, coming off of the win in Lexington at Kentucky and then having to go all the way to College Station a couple days later after wrapping up the SEC regular season title. It was always going to be difficult there, and they are a bit banged up, so I'll take them easily to beat the 16 seed. Then you've got Kansas all the way down to the 8 line. I actually think that they played pretty well against Houston, but just a tough spot for them there. They did cover the 10-point spread that we were advocating for in our last video. In this one, I will take the Lobos to get it done over this down Kansas team, although, as I mentioned, I do think that there's something left in this Kansas team. We'll see how they do in the Big 12 tournament there. I feel like they could go on a little bit of a run as a dark horse. Then Oregon, I will take them to beat the winner of that first 4 matchup. I probably lean Boise State in that matchup, but either way, I will take Oregon to win there. Also, that game would be in Seattle there, so a bit of a home court advantage if they were to play Xavier in that matchup, but just that's how this bracket ended up going. And then I will take Arizona to beat Lipscomb. Lipscomb is in the ASUN tournament final. I would have felt better about them if they beat Queens by more points, but they actually had to get a bit of a miracle to come back in that one in the late stages of that matchup. I think it went to overtime as well. So not feeling great about Lipscomb in the ASUN tournament final. We will see there, but I will take this Arizona team to win that matchup. They got a big win against ASU, and they are playing Kansas tomorrow, I believe. Then Louisville, I've got them playing SDSU here. It doesn't matter. I will take Louisville Cardinals to get this one done. As I've been saying in these videos, I don't know if they can perform against the elite competition, but they have proven in ACC play to win against these lesser teams, so I will take them to win that one there. Then we get to St. John's versus Towson. I will take Johnny's to get that one done, although tough game at Marquette, I believe, tomorrow, so we will see if they can wrap that one up. Then Memphis versus Georgia here. I will actually take Georgia to win this one in an upset, even though most of the year I've actually been against this Georgia team, but with some of these big wins here in recent days, I think that the Bulldog team has just shown me a little too much for me to pick against them again. Then I will take Michigan State to advance as the number 2 seed. Then we advance to the second round. I will take Auburn to quickly discard of this Lobos team to advance there. Then Oregon versus Arizona, old Pac-12 matchup here, and I will take Oregon. I just think that they're playing great basketball at the moment. They are on a bit of a winning streak themselves here, and I do feel like they could end up at the 3 or 4 line if they do well in the Big Ten tournament, though we will see there. Then we get to Louisville versus St. John's. I've got St. John's and their imposing defense. I just do not think that Louisville would be able to hit enough shots against the St. John's team in Pitino there, so give me them to advance. And then I will go with another upset here. We've got Georgia beating Michigan State. Yes, the Spartans did wrap up the regular season title for the Big Ten, but I just do think that they are a bit fraudulent there, probably deserve a couple more losses than they had in Big Ten play. We'll see how they fare against Michigan in that regular season finale there, but I do think that this Bulldog team has been giant killers thus far, so I do think that they could easily win this one if they hit some shots against the Spartans there. Then we get to the Sweet 16 matchups. I will take Auburn to beat Oregon in this matchup, though I was considering Oregon. They are great in these late game situations if they could make that one a close game, but I do think that Auburn just has more talent. Bruce Pearl and the guys get to the Elite Eight, and then I will take St. John's and their great defense to beat Georgia. And then we get to St. John's versus Auburn. I had this one in the last video in the Elite Eight. I went with Auburn, but after watching that Auburn-Texas A&M matchup, granted, I know it was a tough situational spot. I just think that the rebounding of the St. John's team would be a key weakness against this Auburn team. So if St. John's is able to hit some shots and stay with it for the first 30 minutes of the game, I think they'd be able to grind it down and beat this Auburn team. Although Auburn would certainly be favored in this matchup, give me the Johnnies to advance to the Final Four under Rick Pitino there. Then we get to the Duke Regional here. Duke has just been rolling in ACC play. We'll see how they fare at UNC on Saturday, but for this one, I'll take Duke to advance to the second round. Then UConn versus Vanderbilt. I know that Vanderbilt did lose their last game to Arkansas at home, but they were doing much better before that, and this UConn team has really just scared me off at this point. They're going to have to show me a lot in that Big East tournament to have me trust them in the NCAAs, so I will take Vanderbilt to win that one there. Then we get to Missouri versus Yale. I will take Missouri to win this one pretty easily there, although they did lose their most recent game as well. Then you get to Maryland versus Liberty. Maryland heating up here. They had that horrible loss at the last second against Michigan State, but other than that, they've been picking up some great wins. Great win at Michigan a couple days ago there, so we'll take them to win that one. Then UCLA versus UC San Diego. Feel like we always get this matchup in the bracket. I will take the Tritons to win once again there. I'm just not feeling great about this UCLA team. I feel like they should be about a 7 or 8 seed, but we'll see how they do in the Big Ten tournament there. Then I'll take Iowa State, now down to the 3 line after a tough loss to BYU at home. That was just a crazy game with some great offensive plays late. I will take them to advance as the 3 seed. Then that aforementioned BYU team, I will take them to beat Ohio State. This BYU team trending upwards. I feel like they are the high riser here of all of these teams. A couple weeks ago, they were a 9 or a 10 seed, maybe on the bubble, and now up to the 7 seed. If they go on a run in the Big 12 tournament, feel like they could end up as a 5 or 6 seed there, so we will see. And then Alabama, after a tough loss to Florida, I will take them to beat South Alabama. So then we get to the second round. I will take Duke to easily beat Vanderbilt there. I just think that their offense would reign supreme, win them that game by at least 15, 20 points. Then Missouri versus Maryland. I will take Maryland and their young talent to win that matchup there, although I think that that would be a great second round matchup. Could make a case for either side, but I will go with the Terps in that one to advance. And then we'll go Iowa State to beat the UCSD Tritons there in the second round as well. And then a big upset, I will take BYU to beat Alabama. And it's not as big as it looks, the 7 versus the 2 here, just because of how well BYU has been trending as of late, getting these huge wins at Arizona, at Iowa State. A couple other big wins at home as well. And then this Alabama team, if the 3-point shot is not falling, then they really just have no answers because that defense is putrid there. We'll see if they can get it done at Auburn tomorrow. That's a tough spot for them. Obviously, the 3-point shooting variance, if they're hitting their shots, then they could win it. But I will take BYU in this matchup over Alabama there. Love the upset potential. Then we get to the Sweet 16. I will take Duke to beat Maryland there, although that's a great matchup between 2 young teams, 2 very dynamic teams, but Jon Scheyer just a better head coach, and his team just has more talent at this point. And then we just saw this matchup, Iowa State and BYU. I actually had the Cyclones winning my last bracket, if you guys saw that video, and then they promptly lost to this BYU team at home. So I will go with the Cougars there just out of that respect to advance the Elite 8, and then I will take Duke to take down the Cougars in the Elite 8 to get to the Final Four there. And then we get to the West Regional, where we have Florida taking down Norfolk State. I do think that Florida has a good shot at getting this number 1 seed, especially with that win against Alabama and in tandem with that Tennessee loss at Ole Miss. Things very much breaking right for this Florida team to get this number 1 seed, especially if they can go on a big run in the SEC tournament there. Then we've got Creighton versus West Virginia. I know West Virginia won at Utah. That's a tough place to play, cross-country trip, but I just think that this Creighton team and their veteran leadership would be able to get it done here. Then Michigan versus McNeese. I remember when Michigan was a 3 seed, I think a couple weeks ago. Now they've been trending downward after losses to Illinois and Maryland. Give me this McNeese team. I think that they definitely make the tournament, are in a great spot for an upset, and definitely look good against this Michigan team, who I think has been trending downward. They were very fraudulent, as I've chronicled here on the channel, so give me McNeese to advance there. Then we get Kentucky versus High Point. I was tempted to go with High Point here. We'll see how they do in their conference tournament. And then against this Kentucky team, who, yes, has been playing pretty bad, but I just think that they have a little bit more talent there under Mark Pope, so I will take them to win. Then we get to St. Mary's versus Arkansas. Arkansas, if they're hitting their shots under Coach Cal, can definitely win this matchup, but I just think that St. Mary's a little too dominant on the defensive end there to get it done. Then I will go with Wisconsin to get it done over Chattanooga. Then we got Ole Miss versus Utah State. Out of respect for that big win that Ole Miss had over Tennessee and their win earlier against Alabama. This Ole Miss team kind of growing on me right now as a number 7 seed, but I will have to see more consistency in the SEC tournament. But for these purposes, I will take them to beat Utah State. Then we'll go with Texas Tech to beat Bryant. Then we get to the second round. I got Florida and their offensive dynamism to take down Creighton, although I think that would be a great game. I think that the Blue Jays would have a shot to upset them there. Then we've got McNeese taking down Kentucky here. I just think that their shooting could present some challenges for this Kentucky defense there if they get hot. So I will take the 12th seed McNeese Cowboys to get it done there, advance to the Sweet 16. That would be a great story. Then we're taking Wisconsin and their great offense to take down St. Mary's, and then I will go Texas Tech here to advance. How about Texas Tech, by the way? They were a 4 seed a couple weeks ago, and now with a couple big wins, notably at Kansas, get to the number 2 line. Then we're taking Florida to take down McNeese, and then a great game potentially between Texas Tech and Wisconsin. I think that Texas Tech a little bit better on the defensive end, better coach team. I will take them to advance there. Then we get to Florida and Texas Tech. Definitely think this is another great matchup here, but I will go with the Gators to take down the Red Raiders in that matchup. And then we get to the final quadrant here, Houston versus Omaha. I'll give the Cougars that matchup easily there. Then we get to Mississippi State versus Gonzaga. I will go with Gonzaga there. Also, Mississippi State, a precipitous drop-off. I remember they were a 5 seed a few weeks ago there, just a couple too many losses in SEC play for them. Then Clemson versus Drake. As I've said, I really want to pick Drake to win one of these matchups. We'll see if they win the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament, as it kicks off today and it will end on Sunday. And that's a pretty tough conference tournament in terms of these mid-majors. So if they do lose that one, then they'll be out entirely. But I will take the Clemson Tigers to take that one down there. Next one, I'm taking VCU to get an upset over this Marquette team. We'll see what Marquette can do over the weekend against the Johnnies. As I've said, I feel pretty good about them there. But this VCU team in the A10 is just looking like a wagon right now, as I've chronicled in these other videos, so give me them to win there. Then I'll take Texas A&M to beat Utah Valley. Big win for them to get back to the 3 line over Auburn, as we mentioned. And then I'll take Illinois to beat Baylor there. Illinois, big game against Purdue tonight, so we'll see if they can win that one there, maybe get up to the 6 line. And then we'll take Tennessee to beat Central Connecticut. Then we'll go in with Houston over Gonzaga there. Gonzaga, as we mentioned, can definitely win it because of their high shooting upside, top 10 in the net and Ken Palm, but Houston just too dominant right now with that defense and making big shots, so we'll take them to win there. Then we'll go Clemson over Purdue, just a more consistent team. Texas A&M over VCU. And then a bit of an upset, I'm going with Illinois to beat Tennessee there. Rick Barnes in the tournament. I just am selling all of the stock, shorting Tennessee right now. As I said last week when they were a number 1 seed, this team is just overrated right now. Yes, they have a couple good shot makers and generally good defense, but I just think a couple too many fraudulent results here in the SEC. So I will take the Illini and their great shooting to take down Tennessee there. Then I'll go with Houston to beat Clemson. I'll take the defense of Texas A&M to get it done over Illinois there, and then I'll take Houston to advance to the Final Four. So that brings us to the Final Four here, where we've got St. John's versus Florida. I will go with Florida to win this matchup. I just think that they have too much on offense for this Johnny's team. Then Duke versus Houston. I went with Houston in a couple of these other videos here, but I will go with Duke here. I just think that they've been so dominant in ACC play. And then we get to Duke versus Florida. This would be another great matchup. I'd actually go Duke here, so give me the Duke Blue Devils to win this bracket. We'll see how they do tomorrow against UNC. If they win that one, and if they win the ACC tournament and Auburn loses maybe a couple more games, say against Alabama at home and then in the SEC tournament, then maybe Duke could rise to the number 1 overall seed here, but I think comfortably at the number 2 or number 3 overall seeds. So give me the Duke Blue Devils here and their great offensive talent to get that one done there. So with that being said, let me know your guys' predictions in the comments down below. What do you guys think about the bubble? What do you guys think about some of these conference tournaments? My WCC tournament predictions? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.